Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So this episode's going to be a quick take because we have yet another potential spoiler from Kaldheim, and I want to stress potential spoiler because this card has not been confirmed to be legit. So please keep that in mind while watching this episode. That being said, the card looks legitimate and it's pretty awesome, so let's jump into it. Oh, and side note, the image that I'm going to be showing is just a mock-up that I made because the actual image is crooked and sideways and kind of blurry, so bear with me. Anyways, the potential spoiler from Kaldheim is Rise of the Dread Marn, which is an instant for 2 and a black, and it says create X/2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn. And it has Foretell black. During your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down, cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. This card seems incredible in a game of Commander. First off, let's dig into that Foretell mechanic, which is a new mechanic from the set. Now, although we have seen an officially spoiled card that references Foretell with Renar the Ever Watchful, which says the first card you foretell each turn costs 0 to foretell, we have not seen an officially spoiled card with the Foretell mechanic on it. In a recent episode, I talked about the other potential spoiler, Battle Mammoth, which also has Foretell, but this one's going to be Foretell for 2 green, and again, it's on a creature and not on an instant. Foretell on an instant seems incredibly powerful because of the versatility that this gives you. Overall, this card is going to cost 2 and a black no matter what. So why not foretell this card away so that on a later turn you can just pay a black for its effect? And again, when you foretell it, you exile it face down so it doesn't affect your maximum hand size and it can't be discarded and so on and so forth. So it's essentially protected on top of making it easier to cast on a future turn. 1 mana is a lot cheaper and easier to hold up than 3. Anyways, let's talk about that effect because it's a very powerful one. Create X/2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn. That is an incredible effect, especially in the game of Commander. Now, although this doesn't take into account token creatures dying, there are plenty of games of Commander where a massive amount of non-token creatures die in a single turn. And for just a black mana, you get a 2/2 for each and every single one of those creatures. Now, Zombie Berserker, I don't believe that we've seen as a token, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. Now, like other zombie tokens, these are 2/2s, but unlike other zombie tokens, or at least effects that produce zombie tokens, these are coming into play untapped. Now, most of the time that might not matter, but you never know. If you can give these things haste, or if an opponent has things with haste, that could come into play. Regardless, now let's talk about the fun topic of life insurance, or more so what I mean, the most likely scenario that you're actually going to be utilizing this card. And that, of course, is going to be Wrath effects like Wrath of God, hence the name Wrath. Wrath of God is a sorcery that costs 2 white and it says destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. So this and many other Wraths out there blow up all creatures. Now when that happens, everyone's pretty much put back to square one. But if you've got Rise of the Dread Marn, you're way ahead of everyone else. In fact, you're likely to be further ahead than you were before. So that Wrath not only set everyone else back, but it also sets you ahead. And all for just a black mana for a card that's not even in your hand. Now, if I could foretell a little bit myself, I think this card is going to be pretty popular in Commander. So when you foretell a card, your opponents aren't going to know what it is, but you know what it is. And one of your opponents might even hold off on casting a Wrath because they're afraid that you have this as your foretell card. And for all they know, it is this, but it might be something else. So not only can this card deter your opponent's Wraths, benefit you from your opponent's Wraths, but it can especially benefit you from your own. Since you know when your Wrath is coming, you can plan accordingly and then just pay 1 extra mana essentially on top of that Wrath, and then you get a lot of Zombie Berserker tokens. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out with the more Foretell cards that we see. Now, speaking of more cards, let's talk about some ones that are somewhat similar to this one. Obviously, there's no one-to-one comparison, but what cards in the past have we seen that are somewhat similar? Let's start off with Spoils of Blood, which I believe is all the way back from Commander 2014. It's an instant for a black, and it says put an XX black horror creature token onto the battlefield where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. So if you're paying its Foretell cost, Rise actually costs the exact same amount as this, although keep in mind you do have to pay 2 to exile it first. Regardless, let's compare the effects. This one's going to give you one creature that is huge, and it does include every single creature that died this turn, which includes tokens. But when it comes to going tall with this or going wide with Rise, Rise is going to be much more effective. So although this card doesn't see a lot of play, Rise, in my opinion, is definitely going to. Next up, let's talk about another somewhat comparable card with Fresh Meat. This is an instant for 3 and a green. It says create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. So unlike Rise, this one also counts tokens, but it only is counting your creatures and not your opponents. On top of that, this card's going to cost you 4 mana to cast, so yeah, that's a lot of mana to hold up. And again, in comparison, if you've already exiled Rise, it's only going to cost you a black. The final comparison card is yet another green one with Call of the Claw. This one's somewhat like Fresh Meat, but a little bit different. It's a 2/2 elf with flash that costs 2 and a green. When it enters the battlefield, you put a 2/2 green bear creature token onto the battlefield for each non-token creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. So like Rise, this one only counts non-token creatures, but again, like Fresh Meat, this only counts your own. So although we have seen similar cards to Rise, we really haven't seen one that's nearly as effective or as efficient. But now let's talk about some potential commanders out there that might want this card. The first one that immediately popped into my mind is everyone's favorite Child of Alara. Just kidding, not many people like Child of Alara because it blows up everything all the time. But to each their own. Anyways, Child of Alara is a 6/6 avatar with trample that costs Wooburg, and it says when Child of Alara is put into a graveyard from play, destroy all non-land permanents that can't be regenerated. So a Mass Wrath commander that blows up absolutely everything when it dies is going to love this new card. Again, you get your Child of Alara out, and you probably got a sacrifice outlet of some sort, and then when you want to, you just sacrifice your Child of Alara, most likely for free, and then you just pay a black and you get a ton of zombies. At that point, with everyone else set back to pretty much nothing, you're going to be able to win from there with your giant horde of zombies. Another commander that's probably going to enjoy this card is a newer commander with Nevinral or Borg Tyrant. Now, Nevinral does a lot of things, including making zombies of its own, but basically when it dies you can pay 1, and then when you do, you destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So yeah, like Child of Alara-ish, but on a smaller scale, but still, Rise is going to be really effective in this deck. And for all of you Hythonia the Cruel fans out there, which according to EDH Rec is exactly 7 of you, you're going to be really excited about this card as well. Hythonia the Cruel has 6 black, monstrosity 3, and then when she becomes monstrous, you destroy all non-Gorgon creatures. So with Rise, for now 9 mana, you not only blow up all non-Gorgons, but you also get a bunch of zombies. Unless you happen to be playing with the other Gorgon tribal decks out there and you blow up nothing. So yeah. Anyways, in the future, I can definitely see a different kind of deck emerging. And this deck is most likely going to be called by many, "You've activated my trap card." You know, that famous Yu-Gi-Oh phrase. Because Foretell is a mechanic that's about hiding information. You know what that card is, but your opponent doesn't. Because of that, they might think that it's something that it's not. And that might very well affect the way that they play, and they might make some misplays because of that. So Foretell definitely reminds me of the Morph mechanic. Morph is also face down, but as a 2/2 creature, and then you can morph it up and something's gonna happen. And the joke with Morph is that everything is Willbender. Every single Morph creature that's ever out there is definitely Willbender, so you have to play around that. And much like that, players might have to play around Foretell in a similar way. If Rise the Dread Marn becomes incredibly popular, every player might think that that's the Foretell card that you have all the time. So instead of playing that Wrath, they might play around it, even though it's actually just a Battle Mammoth. Regardless, I'm excited to see more Foretell cards in the future and to see what else Kaldheim has in store for us. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.